All right. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to wait for people to join. We have a really important conversation to be had today. Whew, how's everyone doing? It's been, it's just Thursday. It's been a crazy week already, but we want to have a conversation about the latest immigration news. So please join me. Feel free to ask questions on the comment section. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on YouTube, and I'm on TikTok. And so let me introduce myself for those who are joining my live for the first time. My name is Odunlami. I'm an immigration attorney from the Odunlami law firm. We have offices in New Jersey and in Texas. Our mission and our vision is to help fellow immigrants get legal status without fear of deportation, without fear of family separation. And our mission and our vision is being called to stand strong with this administration, because as you all can see and as you all know, there is a huge anti-immigrant sentiment in this administration. There's a lot of laws and policies that are being placed that really, really hurt immigrants. There's a lot of abuse of the immigrant population. Everyone watches the news or is on social media. We're all seeing all this really, really horrible stuff happening to people being treated without dignity. And the idea that immigrants are criminals because they are out of status. So for that, I just want to make it clear that violating an immigration status is not criminal, and it's a civil violation. So for us immigration attorneys, it's really weird to see the ICE people wearing this armed to the teeth, going into homes, dragging people out, going into cars. It's not supposed to be that way. However, it is what it is, and this is what we see. So we have to begin to strategize and figure out how we can continue to help our clients, because more than ever, this is important that we assist our clients in getting legal status. Everybody came here for a reason. For some people, it was to escape hardship, escape violence from their home. For some people, it was to get a better life for their family members, and none of this violates the law. It's all in keeping with what the American dream is supposed to be. So if you need to reach my office, you can call us at 973-993-1900, or you can call 713-600-1909. That's a Houston number. All right, well, thank you guys. Let's get started. I just want to talk about this 75 country ban. I'm sure everybody has heard about it, has seen it, maybe knows, people who are involved in this family-based immigration or employment immigration, who are waiting to get their green cards or some status. So I want to talk about what this means, because social media has a way of just taking off and talking about things that are not immediately relevant now. It's important to know exactly what this means, what it could mean for a case, your pending case, or a case that you have a family member who is, a family member that's currently pursuing. So just give me a second, because there's somebody I have to get out of my live. There's some people who are really, what do you call them? Keyboard warriors, so we don't have time for that kind of nonsense. So, all right. So yesterday we heard through, I think it was originally the Fox News that announced that the United States Department was intending to suspend 75 countries from immigration processes. Now, these countries are, let me see what countries. I think everybody knows what countries they are, but I think I have it somewhere. I'm not sure where it is here. So the full list of these countries are Afghanistan, Albania, Algeria, Antigua and Barbuda, Armenia. Some of these countries I may not pronounce them well, as Azerbaijan, I don't know how to pronounce that. Bahamas, Bangladesh, Barbados, Belarus, Belize, Bhutan, Bosnia, Brazil, Burma, Cambodia, Cameroon, Cape Verde, Colombia, Cote d'Ivoire, Cuba, Democratic Republic of the Congo, Dominica, Egypt, Eritrea, Ethiopia, Fiji, Gambia, Georgia, Ghana, Grenada, Guatemala, Guinea, Haiti, Iran, Iraq, Jamaica, Jordan, Kazakhstan, Kosovo, Kuwait, Kyrgyzstan, Laos, Lebanon, Liberia, Libya, Macedonia, Moldova, Mongolia, Montenegro, Morocco, Nepal, Nicaragua, Nigeria, Pakistan, Republic of the Congo, Russia, Rwanda, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Senegal, Sierra Leone, Somalia, South Sudan, Sudan, Syria, Tanzania, Thailand, Togo, Tunisia, Uganda, Uruguay, Uzbekistan, and Yemen. So, greetings, thank you. So basically, let's talk about what we know about this, right? This is a consular ban. So people who are abroad, well, actually not a ban, it's supposed to be a pause, it's a suspension. So people who are abroad who are, trying to get their immigrant visas, which is you have somebody who has filed for a green card petition for you, either a family member or an employer, right? If you belong in any of the 75 countries, that application is suspended for now. Now, the Trump administration is saying that the basis for this is because these countries, according to them, have reports that they are, according to him, taking advantage of the public benefits in the United States. So this is like a public charge issue. I don't believe this, quite frankly, because most immigrants I know are out there working hard, trying to get money, not taking, being on welfare or trying to take advantage of the system. And another thing is, within the immigration process, there's already a process to hold people accountable if an immigrant comes here and becomes a public charge. So if you're filed for family member, especially, you know that you're required to file an affidavit of support, which is the I-864. Now, this I-864 basically is you get into a contract with the government, with the United States, saying that if this person who you filed a petition for becomes a public charge, gets on welfare, takes benefits, that the United States can come after you. So this is there's already protection against that. So this suspension of the immigrant visa processing is supposed to become effective January 21, 2026. And now the thing to note is this is for immigrant petitions. So non-immigrant petitions such as student visas, tourist visas, work visas, maybe even fiancé visas, because a fiancé visa is a non-immigrant visa, even though some embassies treat it as an immigrant visa, but a K-1 visa is a non-immigrant visa. So for this 75 people who don't already have a prior ban, because included in this 75 people is the 75 countries, is the 39 countries that have a ban for immigrant processes, for non-immigrant processes, and for adjustment of status within the United States. The 39 countries that have that ban will not be able to continue the adjudication of their processes. Now, for the countries that are not in the 39 country ban and who are in the 75 country ban, those countries, they're only banned with regards to immigrant visas. So, and it's consular processing. which is people who are afraid, who are outside the United States, planning to come into the United States on an immigrant visa with a green card because somebody has filed for them, either a family member or an employer. So another thing that's not included in this ban is R1 visas for religious visas, right? Not included in this ban. Now, what we don't know is this: will the USCIS adopt this, which is adopted for people in the United States, people who are adjusting their status? We don't know that. And it's possible because when the 39 country ban started, it started as an entry ban for consular processing. And then it was ultimately adopted by USCIS for adjustment of status processing. Now, what does this mean for you? If you already have your petition pending, that means there's a suspension, there's a pause. Now, we don't know how long this pause is going to be because the administration is saying that they want to, put processes in place to prevent, the use of public benefits by immigrants who are coming into the United States. So we're not sure how that long that's going to take. But that does not mean that your case, it's not a ban on your processing. They haven't said it's terminated. So what I want you to take from this is it's not a termination of your case. It's a suspension, which means a pause of cases that are already in process, in the sense of adjudication. Remember again, there's not a problem if you're filing. You're allowed to file. USCIS or USCIS, because it always starts with USCIS. The USCIS will take your I-130 application. They will send you a receipt notice. They're processing this. What they are not doing is having interviews and making decisions, right? And this covers all the bans, whether it's a 39 country ban or the 75 country ban. It's the adjudication, which is them making a decision on your case, that's not been done. But the application process, which is if you decide to file for a family member, are you still allowed to put in your I-130? Yes, you are. USCIS is still accepting applications. And I know that a lot of people think that, oh, well, we don't know what's going on. This is the time not to do anything. But I'm going to tell you that the law changes. And the law is in your favor now for those who are looking to file. You don't want to wait until there's a ban to filing. So now, or there's a pause to filing. This is a time to put in your application so that you're grandfathered into the law that was in existence when you put in your application. All right. So yes, this is troubling. This is annoying. This is upsetting because this administration doesn't seem to understand that the immigration process, even at the best of times, it's a long process. There are people who've been waiting 15 years to finally be able to come into the United States, right, based on an immigrant visa petition. And now that is on pause, and that is really frustrating. There are people who have been married to their spouses, have been looking forward to bringing them over to the United States. They've been in the process for 2 years, maybe 3 years, maybe 4 or 5, and now there's a pause. Now, what do we expect that's going to happen that may favor immigrants? There's going to be lawsuits, you know that. And a federal judge can put a ban, well, not a ban, a federal judge can put a stop to this. Of course, what that would mean is it would go to a higher court, and we would have to let the litigation process work itself out. But for today, this is the policy that we have. 75 countries have an immigrant visa ban. This ban that came in, I think it was yesterday, does not apply to non-immigrant visas. Regardless of whether it applies to non-immigrant visas or immigrant visas, you can file your immigrant petition for your family member, because USCIS is still accepting them and they're still working through it. It's just that at the adjudication stage, where a decision has to be made at the embassy, they're not going to make a decision because of this pause. It's a suspension, it's a pause, it's not a termination. So that gives you some, I guess, hope. But does that stop the frustration? No, it doesn't. This is really frustrating for everybody because it really just doesn't take into consideration the complexity of the people who have been relying on the immigration system that we know all these years, So if you're abroad and waiting on an immigrant, waiting for your interview, they're likely going to cancel the interview. But if they don't cancel the interview, you want to call and, don't just not show up because you don't want to have your case denied because you don't show up, because a lot of things are just in a flux. Nobody really knows what's going on. We're expecting interviews to be canceled, but if it's not canceled and you're called, I would suggest maybe you should go and figure out what's going on, or at least, maybe, reschedule it or something, but don't ignore it if it hasn't been canceled. Let's see. John says, will this not cause backlog in visas for DV Lottery 2026 with tight deadline of September 30? Well, we expect it will, but like I said, we don't know anything more than what I've just told you, because the administration hasn't given us more information. So we're gonna just keep tuning in to see what's going on. But this is what I tell people, right? Immigration has been tough for a long time. It didn't just, this is one of the strictest, most anti-immigrant administration, granted. They're really changing the laws and just making things really confusing, granted. However, if you talk to somebody who was in the immigration process like 10, 20 years ago, they're going to tell you that this is exactly how they felt, frustrated because something changed, right? And guess what? At some point, it swings back again, right? I have a client, and I want to tell you this story just for to let you know that there's no reason for you to give up, and the law keeps changing. Sometimes it's not in your favor, sometimes it's in your favor. However, it's in your best interest to really always be looking for how you can get yourself to stay here legally. You can't give up, because if you give up, your attorneys can't do anything for you, right? So, excuse me, I have a client who she came to our office, God, I think it was 2019. That was a long time ago, maybe 2019. She had been in this country, in the United States. She came on a visitor's visa, had been and overstayed her visa for some reason. I think there was a family member who was sick, and she stayed to take care of that family member and overstayed and couldn't go back. And she had been here for, I don't know, I think it was like 10, 15 years, maybe even more, maybe 20. I don't recall. But she had a parent that was a US citizen, and that parent filed for her. But I explained to her that because you're out of status, there are two things that's going to come into play. Number one, you have to wait for a visa to become available. That's going to take a while. Number two, you're going to have to file a waiver and go back to your country. If the waiver is approved, go through consular processing and come back. Now, when I tell clients this, like they have to file a 601A waiver and they have to leave the country, a lot of times they don't want to proceed with the case. And unfortunately, because that's a pathway. If you are not in a position to go back, because everyone's not in a position to go back, your attorney will tell you that. So our client, we determined that she was in a position to go back. She had no criminal history, and she it was fine for her to go back. We filed the waiver. The waiver was approved. I know the waiver is very complex and the waiver is discretionary, but we really put forward a really strong argument. And the waiver itself took a couple of years, maybe 3 years before it was approved. And then it was finally approved. And when it was time for her to go back to her country, which was during this administration, she was afraid to go back because she thought, listening to social media, you might think that, if you leave, you won't come back. But we talked about it and we determined that while, nobody can promise you anything, but her chances were good of coming back. She had an approved I-601A. She had no criminal records. She was really involved in her community, like a really good, person helping the less fortunate. There was a lot of really great, she had a really, 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 really great, things going for her. And so she took our advice, she left and went back to her country. And she had her interview and they sent her back for some other thing, which we told her, you don't need that. Go back and tell them you don't need that. We gave her the policy the page for the policy and told her they may not know that they don't need that. So tell them your lawyer said, I don't need this. And look, this is what the policy says. So she went back, easy peasy. They gave her her papers. And of course, we called her to come right back because the law is changing every day. And she came back and now she's a green card holder after what I think was 20 years. Good things are still happening, we're still winning cases. And we want you to know that you're not alone. And it's a really difficult time for immigrants, for our families, for our friends and our loved ones, even, it's just a difficult time, but we're tough people because you don't come to this country, leave everything you have behind, come here to start from scratch if you're somebody who's not tough, okay? We're tough people, right? And we will survive and we'll get through this. So, but we need to do the right things, don't get into trouble. Don't let people scam you to do things that are illegal, and keep your ears to the ground. Make sure you're, getting information from reputable sources, and know that you're supported by a lot of people. You're supported by a lot of Americans, and your lawyers, the legal community, we're doing our best, We file lawsuits when we have to, but the thing about lawsuits is, the wheels of justice move slowly. We're waiting to get some information that hopefully will be favorable to us as immigrants. So I think the thing is, it just feels like we're being bombarded. Like you're barely getting over the policy change January 1st. There's another one January 15th. There was one December 15th. It feels like it's nonstop. But like I said, we're tough people. And I say this all the time, and I want you to remember this. I think I've said this before. There's this book called Things Fall Apart. I love that book. And it was written by this Nigerian author called Chinua Achebe. And one of the, is it parables or proverbs or whatever he that stuck out to me when I was young, I think I might have been 12 or 13, but I never forgot this, was that there's a bird called Eneke the bird, said that since hunters had learned to shoot without missing, he has learned to fly without perching. So what that means is we're being called to dig into our reserves, emotional reserves, financial reserves, physical reserves, just dig in, be strong, If you need to talk to an immigration attorney, please give them a call. Don't let somebody tell you stuff, because sometimes there are nuances to information, right? It may not apply to you, might apply to somebody else. Yes, we have to pray and trust God. Yes. Praying, if you're a praying person, this is a time to pray because God will not let us down. And, there's another saying too that I think I want you to just reflect on this. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. It means that when we face hardship, when things are hard, we don't just give up. we get stronger. We wake up with determination in our hearts and try to pivot like, okay, if I can't do this, is this available to me? And this is a time to make sure that, like I said, you're talking to reputable authorities, experienced people with good reputation, because there are a lot of people out there misleading immigrants. They'll take your money and get you to do things that are wrong, and then you get in trouble. All right? We don't want that. So if you need our assistance, we're here physically located in Texas and New Jersey, but we serve clients in all 50 states. We're a national law firm. Give us a call, 973-993-1900 or 713-600-1909. So Folashade says, since our application was approved, can we still apply for the EAD? I don't know what application was approved, Folashade, but if you're from one of the 75 countries, and I think you're probably from Nigeria, then it might affect your EAD. But I don't know what application that was, so I can't really tell you. But we do know that there's a pause on immigration benefits for those people from that 39 country from December, I think it was December 15 proclamation. All right, so let me see if I can grab a couple of questions. And guys, it's tough, and I know that it's really, really hard for a lot of people. They're afraid to leave. They're watching their family members being, taken by ICE, children, parents. It's really hard to watch. So let's keep the faith. So Mon Johnson says, what about people who are already here and got married here? Can they file for their green card? Mon Johnson, you can file for a green card, but depending on what country you're from, you may not get a decision on your green card. All right. So, but it's better to put in the filing. Guys, put in your filing while you can, because we don't know what, is coming down the pipeline, okay? So Mazambula says, if adjustment of status is placed on hold in the case of ICE patrol, how can they defend themselves? Well, that's if somebody has an adjustment of a case pending and everybody doesn't qualify for to be put in detention. I'm going to tell you that. Everybody, there are certain people that are being put in detention. Maybe they already have a removal order. But if somebody is wrongly taken by ICE, a bond can be filed to get them released. Okay, so So Charles Day 68 says, how does this affect Nigerians who are U.S. citizens? Well, you're a U.S. citizen already. You're not included in any of this policy, any of these changes, unless you're looking to file for somebody. Is N600 a one-time only application, or can you resubmit? Yes, you can resubmit. So Manuel says, I want to know if B1 and B2 is affected by this. It depends on where you're from. If you're from one of the 39 countries, your B1 and B2 is affected. If you're not from one of the 39 countries, but you're one of the 75 countries that is not included in the 39, then the B1, B2 is not affected. All right. So this is me on Instagram answering questions. So Chris Cole says, what's the average wait time for N400 interviews? From start to finish, we're seeing from when you submit your application, it's really about 6 months, maybe a little more. But the administration is moving fast on those too. So as long as you're not from one of those 39 countries, because if you are, there's also a pause on that. So Nkechi Delum says, so do you advise that we put in our green card filing from outside the country, even if you're from one of the 75 countries? Yes, put in the application. With USCIS, you're fine. It's only when you get to the adjudication stage where they're going to make a decision, at the embassy, then they're not. But now, if you're from one of the 39 countries, they're still processing those cases. They're just not making a decision on them. So if you want to put it in, go ahead and put it in, okay? And it's a good idea for you to put it in because, God forbid, we don't know what's coming down the pipeline in terms of what else they're putting on pause. So put in what you can put now so that you are not affected by a more stringent policy, okay? All right. I'm on TikTok now. Let's see if I can answer a couple of questions. And then I'm going to call it a day because, so Zoya says, I'm a Nepal green card holder, but I'm using Medicaid. Can I travel? Will I face any problems? So Zoya, you're a green card holder, so the public charge does not apply to you, okay? So being on Medicaid is not a problem. However, even if you're a green card holder, I'm telling people who have green cards to still exercise caution if they want to travel. If you have a criminal record, even a traffic ticket, even if it was dismissed, you want to be really careful. If you have no issues and your green card, when you got your green card, it was never an issue, then you may be okay. But I think you just don't assume that having a green card protects you. Of course, they're going to have to let you back in, but they may let you in and refer you to removal if you have done something that makes you, deportable. Okay? So somebody said, can somebody travel to Africa? You can travel anywhere you want as long as you have the papers to travel and you don't have any issues with your papers. There's not a ban traveling to Africa. The ban is coming here. So AK47 says, does the ban affect adjustment of status like I-485? No. For the 75 countries listed, if you're not for the 39 countries, yes. For the 75 countries that are not included in the 39, we have not been told it affects adjustment of status. So you can still file adjustment of status. However, remember that when the 39 ban started, it started as a consular ban, which is what this is, and then USCIS adopted it and it became a ban for adjustment of status adjudication. So I keep saying it's the adjustment of status adjudication that is being banned. You can put in your paperwork, okay? And I recommend that you put in your paperwork. You don't want to be on the losing end if something else comes up. So Dr. Iscariot says, does the current pause apply to H-1B visas? So the current pause, 75 countries, does not apply to H-1B visas. As long as you're not from the 39 countries, which that is applicable to them. So Gabby says, what becomes of asylum seekers from affected countries? First of all, asylum is on pause right now. You can put in your application, but asylum processing is on pause, like all of that, asylum is paused with regards to adjudication, but like I said, you can put in your application. USCIS is still accepting applications. All right, I think that's all the questions I have so far, guys. Yeah, exhausting. It's exhausting. It's yeah, but like I said, we're strong people. Immigrants, we are tough, and I want you guys to just hang in there, okay? I really believe that good always prevails, And in the immigration process throughout the years has always been a very difficult process. All right. So Tinoade says, how can we talk to you directly? You can book a consultation. Call my office 973-993-1900 or 713-600-1909. All right. So Lloyd says, I filed my citizenship, but my green card is expired. I know I'm supposed to get a 2-year extension. Will I be getting that physical card, or I have to just wait? So if you filed your citizenship, you get the 2-year extension, and you're gonna see the 2-year extension on your N400 receipt. Okay, so your expired physical card plus that N400 receipt that will say your green card is extended for 24 months. Together, that is your green card extension while you're waiting for your citizenship process to be completed. All right, guys, take care and see you next week.